Stuti Satakam 31 to 40. Marakatarucham pratyadesham maheswara chakshusha amritalahari puram param bhavakya payo nidhe sucharita phalam kanchi bhajo janasya pachelimum himashikharino vamshasya ekam vatamsa upasmage.
Marakatarucham pratyadesham maheshwara chakshusham amritalahari puram. Marakatarucham, for the radiance of Marakata, that is emerald stones, for the radiance of the emerald stones, Marakata stones, pratyadesha, it prevents the radiance. It puts to shame. You can say it puts to shame, or it prevents the shining of Marakata. That means what? She is much more brilliant than Marakata. Maheshwara chakshusham amritalahari puram. For the eyes of Maheshwara, for the eyes of Shiva, she is full of amritalahari. She is full of waves of amrita. He goes on using his eyes to see her, and he goes on enjoying the amrita lahari, the waves of amrita. The more he sees, the more amrita he gets. Param bhavakhya payonidhe. Bhava akhya means bhava, called bhava. What bhava is? Samsara. Payonidhi is ocean. Ocean called samsara. Ocean called samsara. For that param, she is the other shore. You have to reach that shore. You cannot be always in this ocean. So you have to go to the shore. That shore is Devi. Sucharita phalam kanchi bhajaha janasya pachelimam. Kanchi bhajaha janasya. For those who are in Kanchipuram. Kanchi bhajaha, one who has reached Kanchi. Janaha, person. For a person who is in Kanchipuram, for him, pachelimam sucharita phalam. Pachelimam means ripe. Ripe fruit. Ripe fruit. Devi is the ripe fruit. How did he get that fruit? Sucharita, because of his merit, religious merit, accrued over so many births. So many janmas he has accrued religious merit, and that religious merit has given this ripe fruit. Himashikharinaha vamshasya ekam vatamsam. Himashikharinaha. Himavan, whose peaks are full of hima, full of snow. Himashikharinaha. Himavan. Vamshasya, for his lineage. Ekam vatamsam. Vatamsa is the head ornament, like a chudamani. So Devi is the chudamani for the head ornament, the crest ornament for the lineage of Himavan. Upasmahe. We pray, we prostrate and pray to that Devi who defeats the shine of Marakata, emerald stone, who puts them to shame, and who is full of waves of amrita for the eyes of Shiva, and who is the other shore for the ocean called samsara, and who is the ripe fruit for one who has reached Kanchipuram because of his accumulated religious merit. And Devi is the one distinguished, unique crest, ekam vatamsam, unique, distinguished crest ornament for the lineage of Himavan. Devi, we prostrate and we pray.
Pranamana dinarambhe kampa nadi sakitavake sarasa kavitonmeshaha pusha satam samudanchitaha pratibhata mahaprauda Prodyat kavitva kumudvati nayati tarasa nidra mudra nageswara kanyake.
Pranamana dina arambhe tabake tarasa kavita unmeshaha pusha satam samudanchitaha. This is one sentence. Kampa Nadi Sakhi is the address. O friend of Kampa river. O friend of Kampa river. Similarly, at the last he says, Nageshwara Kanyake, O daughter of Himavan. Nageshwara is Himavan. Ishwara of Nagas. Naga means mountain. Ishwara of mountain, that is Himavan, daughter of Himavan. These two are addresses. Pranamadina Arambhe Tavake. Tavake means of you. Pranamana Dina Arambhe. At the beginning of the day on which somebody starts prostrating to you. Somebody has just started prostrating you. Just started. Beginning. Immediately what happens? Sarasa Kavita Unmeshaha Pusham Satam Samudanchitaha. Sarasa Kavita Unmeshaha. Kavita is poetry. Sarasa, sweet, very enjoyable poetry. Unmeshaha. Unmeshaha means rise, coming out, opening. Pusha is the sun. Satam. Satam Sarasa Kavi. It's not ordinary Sarasa Kavi. It is Satam Sarasa Kavi. That is, only virtuous people will be able to give out this kind of poetry. So the sweet poetry of virtuous people, for them, the sun rises. This kind of sun, Pusha Unmeshaha. The sun rises right at the time when he starts prostrating. Immediately he becomes a poet. Samudanchitaha. Samudanchitaha means it begins gloriously. It begins gloriously. What begins gloriously? The sunrise. The sunrise becomes gloriously. Which sunrise? The Sarasa Kavita Unmeshaha. That is the sunrise. Pratibhata Mahapraudha Prodyat Kavitva Kumudvati. Now, when sun has risen of the poetry of the one who has just started prostrating, there will be other poets, isn't it, surrounding him, who have not prostrated, who don't care for Devi. So they are all Pratibhata. Pratibhata means competitors, enemies. So those kinds of competitors and enemies, Mahapraudha, they are very arrogant. Prodyat Kavitva, they are also poets, no? So they are also giving out poetry. Prodyat Kavitva, giving out poetry. For that poetry, she is Kumudvati. She is like a lily. The Kavitva is lily. The Kavitva is lily. So that lily, Nayati Tarasa Nidra Mudram. That lily she puts to sleep. Tarasa means quickly. Lily is put to sleep. Nidra Mudram, the gesture of sleep. Nayati leads. She leads that lily to the state of sleep quickly. Which lily? The poetry coming out of the arrogant people who are this Kavi's enemies, this poet's enemies. That means the one who has prostrated has been blessed with poetry of Satam Sarasa Kavita. But one who has not prostrated, who doesn't care for Devi, his poetry has become like a lily which has been put to sleep. That means lily closes. Because when sun rises, naturally lily will close, isn't it? That is because this was compared to Pusha. So Pusha and Kumudvati are both enemies. So it closes. Janayati Tarasa Nidra Mudram. O friend of Kampanadi, O daughter of Himavan, the chief of mountains, when somebody starts prostrating to you, the first day, the beginning of the first day of prostration, right at that time, the sun rises. Which sun? The sun of the virtuous people's enjoyable, sweet poetry, and it comes out gloriously. Samudanchitaha, it comes out gloriously. At the same time, Devi puts to sleep the lily of poetry which comes out from the mouths of arrogant people who are competitors or enemies of this poet.
Shamita Jadimarambha Kambhatati Nikate Chari Nihata Duritastoma Somarda Mudrita Kuntala Phalita Sumano Vancha Pancha Yudhi Paradevata Saphalayatu me netre Bohtre Swara Priyanandini.
A prayer with description as usual. Shamita Jadima Arambha Kampatati Nikate Chari. Shamita Jadima Arambha. That means Jadima is ignorance. As soon as ignorance starts, as soon as inertia starts, Shamita, it immediately is quietened. is destroyed. Ignorance is quietened, ignorance is destroyed by Devi immediately on its rise. She doesn't wait for ignorance to grow. As soon as you prostrate, you become a poet. We saw last shloka. Similarly, as soon as you prostrate, your ignorance vanishes. Kampatati nikate chari. Chari means one who moves about. Nikate, close to the banks of Kampa river. Nihata durita stoma. Durita is sins. All dushkarma we have got is called durita. Stoma is mass. Mass of sins. Nihata, destroyer of the mass of sins. Somardha mudrita kuntala. Kuntala is hair on the head. Mudrita, it is marked by Soma Ardha, by half moon, by crescent moon. Halita Sumano Vancha. Sumanaha. Sumanaha normally means devas. But here we can interpret it to mean virtuous people, those whose minds are virtuous. Sumanaha. For them, Vancha, for their desire, Halita, she is the fruit. Their desires bring immediate fruit by Devi's blessing. Devi's blessing is the fruit which fulfills all their desires immediately. Vancha Yudhi, she is the holder of 5 weapons. What is the 5 weapons she is holding? 5 arrows, 5 flower arrows she is holding. They are described as Pancha Yudhi. Paradevata, she is the supreme Devata. Gotreshwara Priyanandini. Gotra also means mountain. Gotra we all know as the Rishi's Parampara. That is called Gotra. I belong to so and so Gotra. That is, I belong to that Rishi's Parampara. But here Gotra also means mountain, another meaning. So Gotreshwara is the Ishwara of mountains, that is Himavan. Priyanandini, very loving daughter of Himavan. Me netre saphalayatu. Let her make my eyes fruitful. Let her make my eyes fruitful. My eyes will become fruitful only when I see her. Whom I should see? She is the one who removes ignorance, inertia right at the beginning, right at nipping the bud. And she is moving about in the area of banks of Kampa river, and she destroys mass of sins right at the beginning. And her hair is marked by crescent moon, and she fulfills the desires of virtuous people. She is the fruit of the desire of the virtuous people, and she holds the 5 weapons, 5 flower arrows. She is the supreme Devata. She is the loving daughter of the head of mountains, that is Himavan. Let her make my eyes fruitful.
Mama tu dishana pidya jatyatirekh katham tvaya kumuda sushama maitri patri vatamsita kuntala jagati shamitastambha kampa nadi nilayamaso shayati hi galatandra Chandra Vatamsa Sadharmini.
Now, he is asking a question. The poet is asking a question. He is saying, I have already taken refuge in Devi, and then he gives the description of Devi. I have already taken refuge in Devi. How can ignorance come and trouble me? That is the question. Now, he is putting that question in a very beautiful manner. Mamatu dhishana Vidya Jadya Atireka Kasam Toya. Jadya Atireka. That is extreme ignorance, excessive ignorance, excessive inertia. He is addressing, Jadya Atireka is an address. He is addressing excessive inertia, and he is asking, Katham Toya Mama Dishna Vidya. Katham, how can your by you, how can Mama Dishna, by my intellect, Dishna is intellect, how can my intellect be Vidya, troubled by you? How can my intellect be troubled by you? Dishana also means Brihaspati. Dishana is one of the names of Brihaspati, Deva Guru. Here it means intellect, because he is the great intellectual, he is also called Dishna. Dishana, my intellect, how can it be? Katham, how? Svayapedya, how can it be troubled by you? Oh ignorance, oh excessive ignorance, how can it be troubled, my intellect? So why it cannot be troubled? He is giving the reason. Kumuda Sushama Maitri Patri Vatamsita Kuntalam. Kuntalam, her hair, Vatamsita. She is having a crest ornament on the head. Who is the crest ornament on the head? Kumuda Sushama Maitri Patri. Kumuda, the person fit for the friendship of lily. Kumuda Sushama, Kumuda is lily flower, Sushama radiance, Maitri, friendship, Patri, fit recipient. Fit recipient of his friendship is the radiance of lily. That means he is the friend of lily. Who is that? That is moon. So moon is the friend of lily's radiance. So that is the one which is decorating the top of her hair. Jagati Shamita Stambham. Stambha is stiffness, arrogance, stupidity, all this. Jagati in the world, Shamitaha, she destroys in this world all the stupidity, all the inertness, all the arrogance. And she is Kampanadi Nilayam. She is having her abode on the banks of Kampa river. Chandra Vatamsa Sadharmini. Chandra Avatamsa, the one who is having Chandra as the head ornament, that is Shiva. For him, Sadharmini. This we have seen before. She is the Sahadharmani or Sadharmani, the consort in the performance of Dharma of Shiva. Shriyatihi. Shriyati means I have taken refuge. I have taken refuge in this Devi Galatandra without any laziness. Very actively I have taken refuge. So when I have taken refuge, how can you, excessive ignorance, how can you come and trouble my intellect? Whom I have taken refuge? The one Devi whose hair is adorned with moon, who is the recipient of the friendship of the radiance of lily, who removes the darkness, the inertia of the world, and she is having her abode on the banks of Kampa river, and she is the consort of Shiva in performance of all dharmas. And I have taken refuge in her without any laziness, very actively. So how can you come and trouble me? That is the question.
Parimala Paripakodrekam Payo Muchikanchane Shikharini Punardvaidhi Bhavam Shashinyarunatapom Apicha Janayan Kamboho Lakshmi Anambunikopyaso Kusumadhanushak Kanchi Deshe Chakasti Parakramaha.
Parimala Paripaka Udrekam Payomuchi. Payomuchi is cloud which discharges water. Discharger of water is the direct meaning. Payomuchi, that is cloud. For the cloud, Parimala Paripaka Udrekam. Parimala is fragrance. Paripaka, high level of fragrance, mature fragrance. Udreka. Udreka means exuberance. Exuberance is coming out of the fragrance, excessive fragrance to cloud. What does it mean? She gives excessive fragrance to the cloud. What does it mean? It means by her hair. Her hair is, it's not mentioned here, but we have to infer. Her hair is compared to heavy rain-bearing cloud, because heavy rain-bearing cloud is also dark. Similarly, her hair is dark and her hair is naturally fragrant. So she is giving fragrance to the cloud. She is not giving any fragrance to the cloud. This is the poet's imagination, saying because your hair looks like the cloud looks like your hair looks like cloud, and your hair is fragrant, so cloud also should be fragrant. Kanchane Shikharini Punaha Dvaidi Bhavam. Kanchane Shikharini. The mountain with golden peaks. Which is the mountain with golden peaks? Meru mountain. Meru mountain is the golden mountain with golden peaks. So for the golden mountain, Punaha again, next, Dvaidhi Bhavam, becoming two. Dvaidhi Bhavam is becoming two. There is only one Meru mountain, but Meru mountain is made into two by her twin breasts. That is not mentioned, that is again to be inferred. her two golden picture-like breasts are compared to the Meru mountain. So when I say Meru mountain, it is like this. When I say you, it is like that. That is the idea. Shashini Aruna Atapam. Shashini in the moon. Aruna Atapam. The shine of Aruna. Aruna, what is Aruna? Aruna is the charioteer of Surya. That is red color. So red Aruna Atapam is red color shine. In the moon, you get a red color shine because of Devi. Because Devi is wearing the moon on her head. Apicha, again, further, Janayanne Kamboho Lakshmi Anambuni. Anambuni. Ambu is water. Anambuni means dry area. In the dry area, she is generating Kamboho Lakshmi, the glory of Kambu. Kambu means conch. She is generating the glory of conch in a very dry area. What does it mean? It means her neck, because neck is always compared to conch. For women, conch-like neck. That is a beautiful description. So her neck, which is dry, it is not wet. There she is having the beauty, the glory of conch. Kopi, someone who is beyond description. Asau, this person with this description. Kusuma Dhanushaha, Kanchi Deshe, Chakasti Parakramaha. This glory is, what kind of glory is this? Kusuma Dhanushaha Parakramaha. She is the valor of Manmatha. Kusuma Dhanusha is Manmatha, the one with flower arrows. She is the valor of Manmatha. Means what? She is the power behind the valor of Manmatha. Without her, Manmatha can do nothing. That we have seen before. She is Kanchi Dese Chakasti. She is shining in the area of Kanchi. Chakasti means shining brilliantly. She is shining brilliantly. Kopi, someone. Asau. I don't know who it is, but I can see. That is what it means. Kopi and Asau, both he is putting. Asau means I can see this person. Kopi, but I don't know who is that person. Parimala Paripaka Udrekampa. That means she is granting extraordinary fragrance to crowd through her hair. She is granting the state of being to the Sumeru mountain, the golden Sumeru mountain, through her twin breasts, and she is giving red color, shine of red color to the moon, and she is giving the glory of conch, generating the glory of conch in the dry area of her neck. And that kind of valor of Manmatha is shining in the area of Kanchi.
पुरधमयुतुर्वामोत्सङ्गस्थलेन रसज्ञया सरसकविता भाजा काञ्चीपुरोदरसीमया तटपरिसरैर्निगारात्रे वचोभिरकृत्रिमैः किमिव न तुलामस्मच्छेतो महेश्वरि गागते.
Here also the poet is raising a question. Hey Maheshwari, the last line, Hey Maheshwari, and then he is calling her and asking her a question. The question is, my mind, asmat-chetaha, kimiva na tulam gahate. Asmat-chetaha, our mind, my mind, tulam means equality. Will it ever get equality? Will it not get equality? Kimiva na. Gahate means attain. Will it not attain equality with something he is describing? Will my mind not attain equality with something? What is that? Puradamayetuhu vamautsanga sthalena. Because he is now describing Devi. Because my mind is completely occupied by Devi. So, why my mind will not be like Devi? If Devi is having that description, my mind also will have the same description. It will attain equality. That is the idea. Puradamayetuhu vamautsanga sthalena. Vama utsanga, the left part of the lap. Utsanga is lap. Left lap, sthalena, in that area. Puradamayetuhu of Shiva, who is Tripurari. So the one who is occupying the left part of Shiva. That is one description. Devi has is described by so many means. Sarasa Kavita Bhaja Rasajnaya. Sarasa Kavita Bhaja. One who is having beautiful poetry, enchanting poetry, that kind of poet. Of that poet, Rasajnaya. Rasajna means tongue. Tongue is the one which knows the taste, isn't it? Rasajna means one who knows the taste. That is the tongue. So the tongue of poets, that means the Devi is described as the tongue of poets. That means Devi, because of Devi's grace only, these poets can compose that kind of enchanting poetry. Kanchi Purodara Simaya. Kanchi Pura Udara means belly, stomach. That means in the middle of Kanchi city, Simaya, in that area. In that area, she is sporting. Tata Parisaraihi Niharadrehe. Niharadri is Himachala. Himachala is the term which we are all familiar with. Same meaning, Nihara Adri. Nihara means Hima, Adri means Achala. Hima, Achala, Nihara Adri. That is mountain of Himachala. Now, Tata Parisaraihi, in the area of the slopes of Himavan, that means she is playing in the slopes of Himavan, so it means indirectly Devi. Vachobihi Akritrimaihi. Akritrima, not man-made. Kritrima is man-made. Akritrimaihi, not man-made words, that is Vedas. That means, will my mind not attain equality with these descriptions? These descriptions are the places where Devi resides. So if Devi is residing in those places, Devi is also residing in my mind. So my mind is equal to those places. That is the logic. So the first place where she resides is the left lap of Shiva. Then she resides in the tongue of the poets who compose beautiful, enchanting poetry. And the area of the center of Kanchipuram, that is where she resides. And the slopes of Himachala and Vedas. These are the places where she stays. So will my mind not attain equality with these places? Kim na tulam asmati maheshwari gahate. Why will it not attain? It's a question. Will it not attain? That is the way he is asking.
नयनयुगलीम् अस्माकीनां कदानुफले ग्रही विदधति गतौ व्याकुर्वणा गजेन्द्रचमत्क्रियां मरकतरुचो मागेशान गनस्तन नमृतः सुकृतविभवा प्राञ्चः काञ्चीवतं स दुरन्धरः.
He is starting the first line itself with a question. He says, Nayana Yugalim Asmakinam Kadanu Phalegrahi Vedadhati. Asmakinam, our. Nayana Yugalim, the twin eyes. Our twin eyes, Kadanu, when at all, Phalegrahim Vedadhati, make it fruitful. Vedadhati, render it, make it. Phalegrahim, fruitful. When at all will you make our twin eyes fruitful? And then he is describing the Devi's appearance. Devi of such a glorious appearance, when will I be able to have sakshatkara? When will I be able to see? That is how he starts. Gatau Vyakurvana Gajendra Chamatkriyam. Gajendra, elephant chief. Chamatkriyam, something wonderful, majesty. The majesty of the chief of elephants, Gatau Vyakurvana, in her gate, Gatau in the gate, Vyakurvana, showing. In your gate, you are showing the majesty of the chief of elephants. And Marakata Ruchaha, your radiance from your form is like a Marakata, like a emerald stone. Maheshanaha Sukruta Vibhavaha. Maheshanaha should be taken as qualifying Sukruta Vibhavaha, which is in the next line. Maheshanaha of Mahesha, of Parameshwara, Sukruta Vibhavaha. Vibhava is splendor. Splendor of the merit. Splendor of the merit. Sukruta is merit. Whatever merit you have in your account is Sukruta. Whatever demerit you have in your account is Dushkrita. So, for Parameshwara, He has only merit, and the merit is having so much of splendor that it has taken the form of Devi. His merit is so splendid that the merit has taken the form of Devi. Maheshanaha Sukruta Vibhavaha. Everything is in plural to add to the glory of Devi. Ghanasthana Namritaha. Ghanasthana, heavy bosom. Namritaha, stooping. Stooping because of the heavy bosom. Pranchaha, the foremost, the topmost. Kanchi Vatamsa Dhurandharaha. Vatamsa is a crest ornament, a head ornament we have seen before. She is like a head ornament of Kanchipuram, Kanchi Vatamsa. Dhurandharaha means carrying a heavy load. The ability to carry the heavy load is Dhurandhara. She is able to carry the heavy load of being the chief ornament, head ornament of Kanchipuram. So such a Devi, when will you make our eyes, our twin eyes, fruitful? That is how the question starts. You are, by your gait, you are showing the majesty of the chief of elephants. Your radiance of the form is like an emerald, and you are the form of splendor of the merit of Parameshwara, and you are stooping because of the heavy bosom, and you are the foremost, and you are having the ability to carry the load of being the crest ornament of Kanchipuram.
Manasi Jayesha Paramparyam Maranda Jari Suvam Kabikula Giram Kandham Kampa Nadi Tatamandanum Madhura Lalitam Matkam Chakshur Manishi Manogarum Puravijayina Sarvasvam Tatpuraskurute Kada.
The last line is Tat Puraskurute Tada. Puraskurute means in front of me. Kada, when. Tat, that form of Devi, when will it come in front of me? That is the question. And the form is described. Manasija Yashaha Paramparyam. Paramparyam is continuity, the tradition. The unbroken continuity of the fame of Manmatha. Manmatha has got a fame which has never been broken. So who is responsible for that fame? Devi. So Manasija Yashaha Paramparyam Maranda Jhari Suvam Kavikula Giram Kandam. Kandam is root. Kanda Mula Phala we say. Munis eat mainly Kanda, Mula and Phala. Kanda is a root which is below the ground. Now Kavikula Giram, the words, the poems of the class of poets. The poems of the class of poets, she is the root. That is, without her blessings, there cannot be any poetry. Now, how is the poetry? Maranda Jhari Suvam. There is a flow of a stream of fragrant pollen dust. Maranda is pollen dust. Maranda is same as Makaranda. Jhari is a stream. Suva is a flow. The poetry is full of flow of stream, heavy flow of stream, of fragrant pollen dust. That kind of poetry, sweet poetry, is coming out of the class of poets because of Devi's blessing. She is the root, Kandam. Kampanadi Tata Mandanam. She is the ornament, Mandanam, of the banks of Kampa river. Madhura Lalitam. Her sports are all very sweet and sportive. Madhura Lalitam. Matkam Chakshuhu Tat Puraskurute Kada. When will you come in front of my eyes? Matkam Chakshuhu, my eyes. Tat Puraskurute Tada. When will you come in front of me? Manishi Manoharam Pura Vijayinaha Sarvasvam. Manishi Manoharam. Encanting the minds of the intelligent. Manishi is intelligent. Manishi is Buddhi. Buddhiman here. So Manoharam is enchanting the minds of the intelligent. That is Manishi Manoharam. Enchanting the intelligent. Pura Vijayinaha Sarvasvam. Sarvasvam is all in all of Shiva, who is Tripurari, who has burnt away the three cities, who has conquered the three cities. Pura Vijayinaha Sarvasvam, all in all. So when will you come in front of my eyes? And he is describing the form. That is, Devi is the continuity of the fame of Manmatha. Devi is the root of the poems of the class of poets, and the poetry is full of flowing stream of Makaranda, of fragrant pollen dust. And she is the ornament of the banks of Kampa river. And her sports are so sweet and sportive. And she enchants the intelligent, because it is only the intelligent who go after Devi, who want to have darshan of Devi. So, Manishi Manoharam. And she is all in all of Shiva, the conqueror of the three cities.
शिथिलिततमो लीलां लीलारविन्दविलोचनां दहनविलसत्फलां श्रीकामकोटिमुपास्महे करधृतलसच्छूलां कालारिचित्तहरां परां मनसिजकृपालीलां लोलालकाम् अलिकेक्षणाम्.
Shithilita tamo leelam. Tamas is darkness, ignorance. Shithilita, destroying darkness. Leela, sportingly. She doesn't have to exert herself to remove the ignorance or darkness of the devotees. Neela Aravinda Vilochanam. Neela Aravinda Vilochanam. Vilochanam is eyes. Eyes are dark blue lotus. Blue lotus. Neela Aravinda, blue lotus. Blue lotus like eyes. Dahana Vilasat Phalam. Dahana is Agni. Dahana Vilasat Phalam. Phala is forehead. Vilasat shining. Forehead shining like Agni. Forehead shining like Agni. Shri Kamakotim Upasmahe. We pray to, we prostrate to, we worship Shri Kamakoti, the glorious Kamakoti. Kamakshi, another name is Kamakoti, we have seen before. Kamakoti has got many meanings, we have seen before. One is, she can bestow on you crores of desires, that is one. Second is, she is the very Koti of Kama, that is the limit of Kama, the ultimate of Kama, that is Moksha. After Kama comes Moksha. So she is the very form of Moksha. Then there is another meaning. Kamakoti means Shri Chakra. She is always abiding in Shri Chakra. This meaning is given by Adi Shankara in his commentary on Lalita Trishati, where Kamakoti he is explaining as Shri Chakra, abiding in Shri Chakra. This has been mentioned by our Acharya Swamiji many times. Karadhrita Satshulam. The Shula, the Trishula is described as Sat Shulam, a good Shula. What is good Shula? The Shula is used only for vanquishing the Asuras. So it is Sat Shula. Karadhrita, holding in her hand the Trishula, Kalari Chitta Haram. She enchants the mind of Shiva. Kalari is the enemy of Kala, enemy of Yama. Chitta Haram. She robs away the mind. That means what? She absorbs the mind of Shiva. Param. She is the topmost. She is the most superior, the highest. Manasija Kripa Leelam. Manasija is Manmatha. Kripa Leelam. She always delights in showing her grace to Manmatha. Because of her only, Manmatha is having so much of power. Manasija Kripa Leelam. Lola Alakam, Alike Kshanam, Lola Alakam. Alaka is the hair on the head which is in the front part. Front part of the hair on the head is called Alaka. Lola Alakam means beautiful hair. Beautiful hair which is waving. Alike Kshanam. Alika is forehead. She is having an eye in the forehead like Shiva. Ikshana is eye. She is having an eye in the forehead, which is Alike Kshanam. Lola Alakam with the front hair waving beautifully. So that kind of Devi we worship, Upasmahe, who sportingly destroys all ignorance, all darkness, whose eyes are like blue lotus, who has a forehead shining like Agni or shining with Agni, you can say, because the third eye is there, which is mentioned in the last line. Shri Kamakoti, and glorious Kamakoti, and she holds in her hand the Trishula, and she enchants, absorbs the mind of Shiva, the enemy of Yama, the highest Devata, and she sports in showing her grace to Manmatha, and her Lola Alakam, the front part of the hair on the head, waves beautifully, and she has an eye in her forehead, Alika Ikshanam.
Kalaలీలాశాల కవికులవచక్కైరవమణి శరజ్యోత్స్నాధార శశధర శిశుశ్లాఘ్యముకుటీ పునీతేన కంప పులినతట సౌహార్దతరల కదా చక్షుర్మార్గం కనకగిరిధానుష్కమహిషీ.
Kala Leela Shala, her very form is a sporting ground of arts. Her very form, her very body is a sporting ground, Leela Shala, of Kala, of arts. That means all arts are there sporting in her form. That means by meditating on her, you can get all the 64 Kalas which are sporting in her form. By just meditating on her, you will become an exponent of all the 64 Kalas. Kavikula Vacha Kairavavani Sharad Jyotsnadhara. Kavikula Vachaha, the poems of the class of poets. If you imagine that as Kairavavani, the forest of Kairava. Kairava is lily flowers. If you imagine that as a forest of lily flowers, for that forest, Devi is Sharad Jyotsna Dhara, the flow of Jyotsna, moonlight, autumn moonlight, Sharad Jyotsna, autumn moonlight, continuously flowing like a dhara. If you imagine that, that is Devi. Devi is a continuous flow of moonlight of autumn for the forest of lilies, because lily is very happy under moonlight, we have seen before. So, she is like a moonlight for the forest of lotuses. Which forest? The poems of the class of poets. Shashadhara Shishu Shlagya Mukuti. Shashadhara Shishu is crescent moon. Shashadhara is moon. Shishu is crescent moon. Mukuti, the crown. Shlagya. Shlagya means made praiseworthy. Made praiseworthy. Shlaghana means praise. So if you praise somebody, it's called Shlaghanam. So Shlagya means the Mukuti is becoming Shlagya, the crown is becoming praiseworthy because of the moon, because of the crescent moon. Kampa Pulina Tata Sauharda Tarala. Kampa Pulina Tata, the banks of Kampa river. Pulina is the bank. The bank of Kampa river, Tata, that area. Sauharda Tarala. She moves about, wandering. Tarala is moving about, wandering. Sauharda, with great attachment, with great love. She moves about with great love on the banks of Kampa river. Kanakagiri Dhanushka Mahishi. Mahishi is consort of Shiva. Shiva is Kanakagiri Dhanushka. Dhanushka means the one who made it as a bow. What he made as a bow? He made a bow of Kanakagiri, the golden mountain, that is Meru. Shiva made golden mountain Meru as his dhanus, as his bow. So Kanakagiri Dhanushka is Shiva, one who made golden mountain of Sumeru into bow. Consort of Shiva. Kanakagiri Dhanushka Mahishi. Kada Chakshur Margam Naha Punite. Kada, when at all, Naha Chakshur Margam, the path of our eyes, Punite, when will you purify? When will you come and show your form to me and purify my be. When will you come and show your form to me and purify my being? Kada naha chakshur margam punite. When at all will you come across the path of my eyes and purify me? So Devi's very form is the art house, the sporting ground of all arts, and her very form is like a heavy flow of moonlight, autumn moonlight, for the forest of lilies, which are the poems of the class of poets, and her crown is made praiseworthy by the crescent moon, and she is moving about on the banks of Kampa river with great love and attachment, and she is the consort of Shiva, who made Sumeru mountain into a bow. During his Tripura Samhara, he needed a bow. The bow was Kanakagiri. And when Devi of this description will cross my path of eyes and make me pure.